Franck Dick est de passage à l'INSEP, l'occasion d'une rapide interview avec le président de l'Association des coachs européens d'athlétisme. Happy to have you here, Frank. President of the EACA, we do understand what it stands for. What is it for?
Well, it's an association for the European athletics coaches, naturally. There's one major function they hold every year, that is the International Festival of Athletics Coaching. This year it's going to be at the end of October in Rome. Mainly it's a service for coaches who want to go that little bit step above the national level.
Frank, you're here today for a keynote. What's going to be the main topic?
Oh, there are actually two presentations. One is to the national coaches, and the second one is to the master's course and the students in general. That particular one will look at the broader picture of what I would call coaching matters, the issues that are facing coaching today. For example, when I was a young national coach, there was just coaches. There was nobody else. Sports science was a figment of most people's imagination. But now it's a big reality, and it's very important to work out what the roles and responsibilities are. On the other session with the national coaches, it's looking at these critical issues that occur when you go from being maybe a top club coach into trying to be a national coach.
Could we call you a motivator?
Well, thank you very much indeed for that. When I speak to the business groups, they sometimes refer to these as motivational speeches. But the fact is that any coach who is not a motivator is going to be in big trouble, and I think that really comes with the package.
Just to make it clear, it's going to be a keynote in English for a French audience. Proof that there's always hope.
Well, thank you for that. I think I'm very flattered, of course, to be invited to INSEP. It's pretty impressive for somebody from Scotland to be invited to come to this, the home of French sport here at INSEP, and even a bigger privilege to be allowed to speak in my own language. But top credit to INSEP for looking internationally now at the bigger picture, not only of the French language, which of course is full of fantastic sport and coaching, but also the wider population out there in the world who may be mainly English speaking.
A few words about sport. What could be, if so, different in the English and French approach of track and field?
Well, this is a very good question, because French track and field at the moment, I believe, is probably the most impressively progressive in the world. Certainly in Europe, and yes, I would agree, say again, yes, in the world. From a UK perspective, they have centralized much, whereas in France they've not worked on that model. And I think that I personally believe the French model is correct.
You did work with two-time Olympic champion Daley Thompson, among others, which was true then to perform, to exceed. Is that still true in 2015?
Well, of course, the essence of all performance is it's hard work based on talent. I mean, some people try to persuade me that it's not a matter of talent, but I have to say, when you're one of the top 8 athletes lining up in a 100 meters final, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of talent out there. But then there comes the hard work, and then more importantly after that now, the right hard work. And maybe this is where science has helped us as coaches. Coaches are great people at making judgment calls. Theirs is the art of performance, the science of performance, which I guess you are taught in life. You can only learn the art through life experience, but you're taught in life that the science, that gives us a greater platform for evidence-based decisions. So coaches, if you like, now have to learn, how do I synthesize, or how do I get the science synthesized so that it can make the right evidence-based decisions. But the other side of that is, it's inescapable. Coaches must learn how to make the right judgment calls.
So what works in sport works in business. Is that a fact?
Well, this is a very good point. My argument would be that the principles for high performance are the same, whether you're in sport, whether you're in the performing arts. In fact, Only last year, I brought a colleague, Boris Verkovsky, from the Cirque du Soleil to speak to coaches in Europe, because I wanted the coaches in Europe to understand that coaching is a universal thing. It's a way of helping people learn to take ownership in their lives and go out there and perform. In the business sector, it's very similar. If there's a difference, it's more difficult to measure success in business the way we measure success in sport. There's a very clear goal. You win, you lose, and so on.
Do you think that today the need, the pressure to perform in everyday's life is greater than ever, maybe too great?
This is a really good point, because that's true in all walks of life. I know that here in INSEP a few years ago, you held a conference that looked at recovery and regeneration. And you know, that is such an important thing, not only in sport, because it's in recovery that you actually adapt in life, but it's also true in business, because you are persistently under pressure in business. And if you don't learn how to recover and regenerate, you're going to be in trouble. In fact, such serious trouble, your health is in danger. And so I'd like to think that INSEP might consider continuing that particular enterprise and become almost a fixture in the world at examining what are the developments in regeneration and recovery, because this is going to impact in the world of business to help people be less stressed out there, but also in sport.
How could one define, sum up your forward-thinking concept?
Well, thank you for that. The idea of forward thinking. I think personally that there's always something else to learn in life, something to do differently, some different thing to do, something to do better. And I think the moment you stop thinking about that, maybe it's time to dig up the garden and get away from the fast lane.
Communication-wise, do you use social media?
Yeah, I do. I have to say I do a Twitter account every night, and I try to put in a coaching point, you know, kind of your thought for today. Last night's was about if you're going to persistently make the right choices, you must learn first how to recognize and reject the wrong choices.
Yeah, I checked your Twitter account. It's pretty much like wise words, a quote a day, like a doctor's prescription. So what could be today's prescription?
Well, now you have me, because I usually work that one out at the end of the day. It drives my wife crazy because it keeps my dinner late. But something that will happen today will put a light on in my head, and I'll think, that might make a good point for tonight. So wait and see.
All right, great. Just one personal question. I'm listening to you, and I'm wondering, are you the closest thing there is to, as an Englishman, to a Scot, or is it the other way around?
Well, you know, I'm a Scotsman, and when I left Scotland to work in England, my boss said at this time, when somebody leaves Scotland to work in England, the average IQ of both countries goes up. So we have a friendly kind of rivalry and all of these things.
Scottish humor. A word in French, maybe?
Merci bien.
Parfait. Thanks a lot, Frank. It's been a pleasure. Voilà pour cet entretien avec Frank Dick. Plus d'infos sur INSEP.fr et à très vite sur INSEP TV. Salut à tous.